Hello my scrapping friends, and welcome to Creating Your Memories. Today I want to share with you a layout using the new Rustic Truck border punch. And in today's episode, the things that you would need would be your jumbo circle, your blue blade, the punch if you have it, and also I'll be using these little sponge dabbers also. These are optional. These can be purchased at any craft store. If you don't have one of these, you can also use just like a end of a sponge, like a dish sponge or something like that. And I'm also using my dot tip pens as well. So what I'm going to show you today, I've done this many times with other different punches, with using the jumbo circle and then punching that circle around. Today I want to share with you with that same technique with the Rustic Truck. So I'm going to show you how to do that today, and also the next thing that I want to show you is a little twist that I did with the Rustic Truck on my layout using my sponge dabbers. So to get started, we're going to need our jumbo circle, the punch. I have got 2 pieces of cardstock that I will be using today. So I'm going to be using the white. So I'm going to just separate that. So I'm going to use the white with the punching, and then have the blue as my base. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that, and I'm going to need the blue blade. So the first thing that I want to do is move all this out of the way, and I want to line up my 12 by 12 piece of cardstock on my 13 by 13 inch cutting mat. And the next thing I want to do is center my jumbo circle on the cardstock, making sure that you got even widths on each side, because once we cut this circle out, I'm going to use the leftover base, so you're not wasting, you know, that little bit. I'm going to be using that, so I'll show you how to use that. So I'm just going to put in my blue blade and just guide it to make sure that I got enough room on either side. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm just going to cut the blue blade on the outside. And what you have to remember is don't move your jumbo circle, making sure that that is completely cut all the way around. So I'm just going to remove that out a bit, and now I'm going to cut on the inside with the blue blade. So just cutting around, making sure that it's all cut. So I'm just going to lift the center. If I can grab that bit out. Let me try this side. So now that I know that everything's cut, I'm going to move the jumbo circle, but I'm going to leave my cut circle placed on the cutting mat. So the next thing I want to do is get a marker. You can use a pencil, but this will be cut off during that process. So to first up, I want to mark at each 6. Oops. So each 6 point, we're going to do a little black mark, and then we're going to mark it every 30. You do have that 45. We don't want to mark the 45. We just want to mark it at every 30. Just like you're reading a clock face, you're starting at the 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you're back at your 12. So the next thing you need to do is getting your punch and getting the middle point in your rustic truck punch. So I've got it at the end of that, you know, like the gauge, I should say the grill bit, the grate of the back of the truck. The other way also to do it is getting a ruler, and you can actually measure, and each width of these punches, the border punches, they measure 2.5. So then you just want to find 1 1/4, and then you should be right smack bang in the middle, and just using a permanent marker and then just putting a mark on there. So the next thing that we want to do, we want to work up with our punch upside down. So that mark that we've put on our cardstock, we want to meet that up with the mark that we've put on our punch. So just like that. So making sure that it's lined up, and then turning over and punching. So we want to repeat that process going all the way around on our circle, remembering to turn it upside down so that way the loose cut pieces of cardstock or designer paper that you're using is not getting jammed and caught up on each punch. So we're just lining it up on the black, turning it over and punching. So just lining it up and punch. And we're going to continue that same process going all the way around our jumbo circle. So as you can see, as I'm punching, it does leave a little bit of some rigid edges that I've added onto that punch. But I'll show you how to get rid of those so you can still get that same rustic truck punch look. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there, but it did get jammed up a little bit. So I'm just going to continue around with my circle and then punching around. And the last one. So as you can see, just get rid of some of these scraps. You do have these edges here, but all you need to do is get your micro tip scissors and then going around and trimming up the bottom. It's just cutting them off, and it all blends in nicely as you're going around cutting them. So just going around the bottom. And once you put it down on your page, you're not going to notice any difference, especially once you put photos and, you know, embellishment stickers and whatnot on your layout. So the next thing is this back bit where the truck is, and all you need to do is just cut down like that and then going across, and I'm going to do the same thing going all the way around. So then they now look like little rustic trucks and going around in a circle. Oops. It's a little bit time consuming, but you know, like at the end of the result, it does work out really nicely and it does look nice when you place it down on your layout. So just got a couple more. So just continuing on. Just keeps getting caught under my mat. I'm using the white cardstock. It's a little bit lighter than some of the cardstock, but with all our punches, if you're using Creative Memories cardstock, you should be right to punch through with all our punches. Okay, so there we have that. I'm just going to get rid of all this scrap. So bring in my navy cardstock now. If I place that down on there, as you can see, it looks like, you know, like the truck's just going around in that circle. So I'm going to bring back in this layout here. So what I've done here is I've punched the trucks out, you know, with just a red, I think it was a cranberry cardstock, and I've just placed it on another piece of cardstock and then done 2 photo mats and then a title. So pretty basic. There's other ways that you can do that, but this is, you know, you can turn your photo mats around if you like. So that's one way that you can do it. The way that I'm going to show you today is this one here, that I've actually punched it out in the white, exactly the same as what I've done here. And then I've used my little dabbers and my dot tip pens, and I've coloured them in that way just to make it look a little bit more rustic. So to do that, I'm just going to put this aside. I'm just going to get a piece of paper, and then I'm going to get one of these dabbers. I find that these are more controlling, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some dot tip pen on there. So I'm using 2 different kinds of browns, and then all I'm going to do then is go around and give it a little dab. So I would do that all the way around like this. So as you can see, it makes a nice effect on your truck. So then I would just add more ink and then continue around with the brown. And also on the other one, I've used my black jeweled pen and I've just rubbed it on. And these are for the wheels, so they can stand out a little bit more. And then I would just press down on the wheels so it gives that nice effect. You might use a little bit of ink from your pens, but the end result is worth it. So as you can see now, the difference that this is all making, like with the doing it with the, you know, like your pens and giving that little rustic look. On the other one I also did, I don't know why, but I used the red as the cabin on the truck. So just remember, you only need a small amount. So I'm just going to tap the top of the truck roof of that cabin bit, and then as you can see now, when I lift that up, you can see the difference. And also with this, I just wanted to show you, if you're just doing like a straight border, another thing that you can do is, I'm just going to do my 2 browns again, and then this brown, and if you just cut it as into a border effect, you can actually go along your page and use that as a stencil. So just dabbing the truck. Like this. And then you can do that right along your page, and then lifting it up, as you can see, then you've got another design that you could use on your pages. So that is how I've done this one. So I will continue to do that a little bit later, but I just wanted to show you how I've done the base. So what I've done is I wanted to use this, and the reason why I've said to use even lengths around is we're just going to use a piece of navy cardstock, and all I'm going to do is cut 1/4 of an inch of 2 sides like this. So you can actually do this with any cardstock or designer paper, whatever you're going to be cutting your trucks out with. So just lining it up, and then I'm just going to lift up the edge using my tape runner and placing a little bit of tape down and move that just a tad. And then I'm just going to do that same thing on the other 4 sides. Just making sure that's even. And just keep spinning. So now it's just got that like 1/8 on the base card, and then when you stick down your little truck, you know, when you're finished colouring, you can actually place that down there like that, and you can also line up these middle bits in between the cab and the back of the truck on your 6 points, so it's even on your page. So that is one way that I should say the other way that you can actually do your punching out with the Rustic Truck is using your dabbers and your dot tip pens. Just punching it out normally in your circle. That's another way that you can actually do that. So that is another way that you can do it, and then you can just place maybe 3.5 by 5 photos going across. You could put the 2 6x4s like this one that I've had here. You could also do maybe 3 4x4s, the way you can situate on your page. And the other way that I wanted to show you what you can do with the Rustic Punch is that I'm going to punch out just a straight border. So I'm just going to line it up on that line, follow through and punch. So we're just doing a border. Just going through. And last punch. So there is one truck. I am going to do a second. I'm just going to show you another little technique that I done last night. And it's also using this Rustic Truck. So I'm just going to move all my little bits out of the way. Okay, now that I've cut out my borders of my Rustic Truck, I wanted to show you what I come up with is I made a border out of a truck, but I restructured this truck and made it completely different. And then I came up with this little idea here. So I'm going to show you how I've done that. And the reason why I've decided to create a truck like this is because when we went out to the outback of Australia, to Longreach and Blackall and those places out there, they have big road trains that carry all this stock. So you've got the cows coming through, and they're like, you know, like 4 carriages long sort of thing. So I thought that this would be a great idea, and using my photos and, you know, restructuring that truck to make it look exactly the same. So I'm going to show you how I created this idea. So as you can see, I've made it onto a border. The size of my border is, the brown is 3 1/4, and then the next tanny color is like a suede, and it is 2 3/4, and then you've got the white, which is 2 1/4. So I'm going to show you how I created that. And the only thing that I need to use is the personal trimmer. And what I did was I cut out my first truck just using my multi-purpose scissors, and then putting in the truck in your trimmer, and then lining up the wheels, and then I just cut off the end, and I did that with every one, cutting it off as we go like this. And then, okay, so now that I've trimmed them off, I'm just going to bring in another coloured piece of cardstock so you can see what I'm doing. So I just brought in a piece of scrap. So I'm just going to get my leftover piece, and I'm going to cut probably about 1/8 of an inch of a strip of the same cardstock, just so it blends in together. I'm going to use this side. So it only has to be about 1/8. So I'm going to put that down on there. So looking at my picture here, so I need that one. So I'm going to use this as a joiner to join them together. So you're just going to put a little bit of repositional tape on there, just so everything can stick down. So the first one we need is a truck. Hang on, I did cut out one. Where is it? This one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line that up onto this strip like this. And the next thing I did was use each little carriage. So I'm just going to line that up and then just neaten up the edges, and then just leaving a gap in between. I put the big end up here, the small end down there. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's very fiddly, but the end result is great. Okay, so now, depending on how many, you know, trailers that you would like to add to your little semi-trailer, so I might just do just the one more. See a little bit more repo. Okay. So there we have the base part of our little truck, and then you just want to cut that off. It's So that's one way of having, you know, like a small little cattle truck, or, you know, semi-trailer, or, you know, whatever kind of truck that you would like to create. And when I created the next one, all I did was, I'm going to bring back in the personal camera, and I'm going to be using this one here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them off at 2 trucks, and then I put them in like this. Just use my multi-purpose tool to help me. And what I did was I put the wheels at the end of that cutting strip like this. So as you can see, it's just on the, oh hang on, can't really see that. Wait, I'm sure you can see that now. There we go. And I've just put it on the edge of that cutting strip there. And what you need to do is you need to hold down this bit here, and I'm going to cut it off. So then I want to save one truck. Let's see if I've got one here. Yeah, I do. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Is just lining it up on the edge of that cutting strip, holding it down and cutting it. So now all I need to do is bring back in those multi-purpose scissors and then cut off that front. And then I added that. I'm about to go this way. Yep. So then I added that on the top. So then just finding another one, exactly the same thing. And you're just matching it up like a jigsaw puzzle. So then cutting the next one and then putting it down. So if I was making a border, I would adhere this truck onto that first base of that border. So I'm not going to adhere this down on this piece of cardstock because this is not what I want. So this is just an example. So there we have one truck, as I've shown you on that border. So I'm just going to move this one up. I think it's stuck because of the repositional tape. So I'm just going to put it back together like this. And then the next one. So then how I made this one is pretty simple, because when we cut the top bits of the truck up, you were left with something like this. I mean, you can make that as long as you want into different trailers. So I've got my little trailers here, and then what I did was I got one of the truck pieces that were cut off previously on the other border. I'm just going to cut that down there, just put a little bit of repositional tape on it, and then all I did was just matched it up. And there you have another one. So, you know, like looking at this rustic truck punch, it is very versatile of, you know, like the different things that you can make. So there you have different designs of trucks. These would be great for, you know, like little boys outside playing in the dirt with their trucks, and you know, like if you see, you know, your husbands might drive a semi-trailer, that's something like different. And then you've got the cattle trucks, as what I'm doing here with, in Australia they're called road trains because they've added with the trailers. So that is one way. And then you've got my next technique, which I did with the jumbo circle and then doing the dabbing of the dot tip 10 pens, and they've made a layout like that. And then the last one is just the normal way, you know, like punching out in a cardstock or designer paper, placing your photo mats down, giving it a little title, and there's your page done. So I hope you enjoyed my little take on the Rustic Truck and all the little different things that you'll be able to create with this punch. I hope you enjoyed it today, and happy scrapping everyone.